Good afternoon. My name is Joe Bandel, and I am the last of the Rosicrucians. Today we're going to do uh, a Gaia Ascension update. I think it's going to be pretty quick. Uh, I just kind of get rambling, and we'll see where it goes. But mainly, what I wanted to what I wanted to share is exciting for me. Uh, whether it's exciting for you, that depends on where you're coming from. The first thing I'm going to mention is that we don't know what to believe. In the news, we don't know what to believe anymore. Uh, but we can. There's a part of us inside, deep inside each one of us, that speaks with the still small voice of conscience if we would listen to it. In our higher self, in our future self, there's a part of us that knows the truth. We don't have to be limited to what videos we watch or what news that we watch. We don't have to pick and choose that way because we can be drawn to the truth. We can recognize it deep inside us, and we can recognize it in some of the videos. Now, I would like to share something about catastrophism, and also about Ben Davidson's YouTube channel, Suspicious Observers, where he's talking about the science of catastrophism and essentially the deterioration of Earth's magnetosphere, this ongoing shifting of both the North Poles and South Poles toward each other. Instead of being opposite each other, they're actually kind of turning into like a horseshoe magnet, moving toward each other. And the concept that every 12,000 years, like clockwork, the North Pole and the South Pole are going to flip and go to the equator where they'll start to melt. And the whole process will then, after another 12,000 years, go back where it was. That, I just came out and said it, and you can say that's a bunch of crap. But modern science, there's a lot of modern scientists talking about this happening. It's my belief that the powers that be, the governments of the world, the elite, they know the truth about the coming polar shift. They know it's going to happen. They believe in it. And they are acting upon those beliefs. Whether such a thing is real or not, they're believing it. They're acting upon it. And this is why I think that if there's a YouTube channel that's important to familiarize yourself with, I would recommend Ben Davidson's Suspicious Observers YouTube channel, where he explains the latest in scientific research pertaining to galactic weather forcing, solar weather forcing, and the legit topic of climate change and what's going on in today's world and what we can expect within the next 20 to 30 years as Earth's magnetosphere deteriorates even more, which is basically going to eventually cause the electrical system to just be destroyed because of too much, this is my understanding, too much static electricity in the atmosphere, too much induced electricity in everything, including the human bodies, where that's going to be causing, where it is causing the shadow to erupt, where it's causing people to either confront their inner demons, confront their shadow self and integrate it in an honest manner, or to act out in psychotic behavior, to become more insane. We are seeing the elite, we're seeing the leadership of this world become insane and act insane. That's what I'm getting at. And you can believe that or not, but that's the main point that of this video, is to stress that my research points me to the direction that the governments of this world believe in a coming polar shift, magnetic excursion, that the elites know about this and that they're planning for this, and that there's things like the seed vault that's above the Arctic Circle, when this time the shift comes, is actually going to be down along the equator area. It's being placed there for a reason. And Ben Davidson is basically saying they pretty much know where the Earth is going to shift because of both the magnetic anomalies that are going on in the world today, but also because of where it's happened in the past. And that brings up an interesting point. This past couple weeks, maybe even more than that, but it's really been on my nerves the last couple weeks, has been, why is the United States so certain that they're going to be in a war with China? Why are we poking at China? Why are we so antagonistic to China? Forget about Russia right now, because that's going to be over in a few months anyway. It's this China thing. Why does the United States now? Maybe you're finding different sources on the internet or whatever, but it sure seems to me like the military's convinced that they're going to be fighting that there's going to be a war of one kind or another with China. Why? Well, the reason why, I'm thinking the reason why, is because when the poles shift, China and India are going to end up basically above the Arctic Circle. You can't have humanity can't really survive above the Arctic Circle, not in large quantities and not without special preparations. So you're talking about two of the most heavily populated countries in the world, densely populated countries in the world, are going to suddenly, or they're going to at the time of this polar shift, they're going to end up above the Arctic Circle. And they know it. And they have no intention of being there when it happens. They are intent on being someplace else. It seems, from what I can gather, that India, and I have to say that India, with its spirituality, in India with its belief in reincarnation and things like that, is taking a totally different viewpoint on this coming shift within 10, 20, 30 years or whatever than some of the more atheistic countries like China. Okay. But it seems like India is becoming more involved with Africa. And that if there's a population shift out of India, these people are going to be migrating mostly to Africa. Well, where is China's population going to migrate to? It seems like they've decided, or somebody's decided, somebody thinks that China's going to migrate to the United States and Canada. Because Canada is going to be further south, more livable and hospitable too. And there's relatively a lot of land. It's not as densely populated. So we're looking at displacement of two major populations. We're looking at the displacement of the India population and displacement of China's population within the next 20 years. Otherwise, it's too late. Otherwise, nothing's going to be happening. And within the next 2 years, that's far enough in advance to where they're strategizing, they're figuring it out, they feel they have a safety margin. But ultimately, they got to move. They got to move. And I believe that that is why the United States is so deadly certain that the U.S. is going to be involved in a major war with China. And China, by the way, is heavily invested money-wise in the United States. They could very well be trying to take over the United States, influence things in a non-military manner, bringing their influence into the United States, creating, in other words, the invasion or the movement or whatever, to pave the way for a more non-military type of takeover, if you will, which is why we're getting so much communistic brainwashing, socialistic brainwashing right now, to where it's trying to make things amenable so that the average American population will be more accepting of it. But the point is that if you look at the big picture and you say the major thing that's going to be happening in the world is going to be this polar shift that happens religiously every 12,000 years as a cycle that's forced through the mechanics, the mechanism of this solar system, of the galactic system itself, and that science is becoming more and more aware of, and that Ben Davidson is reporting upon daily. If you get that perspective and that understanding, and you say that we have 10 to 20 years before India and China make their move, I mean that India and China need to make their moves within the next 10 or 20 years, or it's going to be too late. Chances are within the next 10 years. Then they'd have 10 years for things to stabilize as much as they could stabilize. Knowing that such a shift, such a global shift is going to totally be disastrous to the world's population anyway. But that's the big picture. And when you combine that with the financial crisis, where these different countries, the United States as well, trying to finagle things, waiting till things break down so that they can go in and gain control of it. What you're looking at now worldwide, what you're looking at is the elite, these people in the know, are ramming through their changes without regard for what the population wants. They don't care what the population wants. They're trying to ram through things so that they can save their own butts, so that they're in positions of empowerment when everything goes down. They're looking at the food shortages. Basically, there's so many people that are becoming preppers. There's so many people out there that are gradually waking up to the reality of what a polar shift would create, and the need to be self-sustaining as both as individuals and self-sustaining as communities. That the powers that be are beginning to be afraid there's going to be too many people surviving. They'd be much happier if more people died off. So we're starting to see things that there's these problems, the global financial system, the food shortage system, Russia and the Ukraine thing, all of these things, you can go on and on and on. There is not going to be solutions. Not peaceful solutions. There's not going to be peaceful solutions to these. There's going to be winners and losers, definite winners and losers. No, and it's going to be harsh. And what these people are trying to do is keep you confused, number one. You don't know what to believe. And number two, keep you in your head. So that as long as you're in your head, as long as you're philosophically contemplating it, as long as you're arguing about this in the coffee shops, you're not out there saving your own ass. You're not out there creating a safety spot for your loved ones, your families. Because that's what they don't want. They want you out of the way. It's what ultimately what you're looking at is everyone for themselves. And that's what they're doing right now, is they're looking out for themselves. Uh, this is a Gaia update because this is where I believe that we're happening. Now, I do daily meditations that involve kind of plugging into Gaia's new energy grid, the new energy dynamics. And I can tell you right now that Gaia her energetics are 100% new age. She's chugging away at where she needs to be. It's kind of like she has done a shift, but everybody else, I shouldn't say everybody else, so many of the peoples are fighting that it's kind of like the outer shell is switched, but people are holding everything else in the wrong spot, but it's starting to fall apart. In other words, everything's starting to fall apart, and you're going to be seeing within the next 10 years, well, we're already seeing it we're already seeing it now, but it gets worse and worse and worse. The lies get worse and worse and worse. Climate change is happening, but it's not man-made climate change. It's climate change that's the result of Earth's deteriorating magnetosphere. The weather is getting worse because of Earth's deteriorating magnetosphere, not what we're being told. We're being told it's man-made so that people can make money, make millions, so that they can get that last little bit of power, so they can get the money, so they can buy their own safety. But everybody's running out of time. This is what I'm saying, it's running out of time. And because Gaia's energetics are fully up and functional, the primary energy, the most powerful energy, is the active energy, is at the root chakra energy. It's at the etheric level. It's at the cellular level. It's why things like a virus, a single-celled organism, can kick humanity's butt. It's because humanity, the human race, they have logic and reason. They are so highly evolved. But that was way up here at the beginning of a cycle. You always start at the bottom, and at the bottom, your single-celled organisms have the same right to existence, the same right to life as the most advanced. We individually have to prove that we're worthy of survival, that we can survive in a fair competition against something like the virus, or whether we are going to be self-destructive to the point of where we become our own worst enemies. It's time for action, because action takes place on the etheric. Action takes place on the physical. Action takes place on the survival levels. And if you're in your head, if you're an ideologue, it's not going to work for you, because reality's going to hit you in the face. That's my upgrade. Is basically I'm just trying to state, if you can grasp the big picture, It gives you an idea of what you need to do. And it also gives you an understanding of why things are the way that they are right now. Why, for example, why the United States feels that a war with China is inevitable. Just some thoughts. Think on it, and we'll see you next time. Thank you.